Welcome to the Road to Wingfoot, powered by Cisco Webex. I'm Jessica Marksbury, and I am delighted to be joined by two very special guests today. Navin Singh is the USGA's Chief Commercial Officer, and Tommy Roy is NBC Sports Group's lead golf producer. Gentlemen, thank you so much for your time today. I have lots of questions for you as we head into this US Open at Wingfoot, but Navin, I'd love to start with you. Obviously, the big news for this year's US Open is NBC grabbing back the reins from Fox. Can you talk us through just exactly how that came to be?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Jessica. That conversation started between NBC and Fox, and I know there was a conversation that have occurred over the past couple of years, in fact, but really progressed as a result of the pandemic that we're all experiencing, and it's been a shift in the calendar for not just golf, but the entire sports schedule. And as we work through alternate dates, landing on September this year for the U.S. Open, the conflicts with football, both from college and NFL perspective, while Fox was doing their best to accommodate, opened a window of opportunity for those two companies to have a discussion, which really started in 2020 and then morphed into something more longer term. And after the two companies settled on what looked like a transition and partnership and terms that they agreed upon, that's where we then worked with Fox on an exit and with NBC on a new partnership agreement, which happened very quickly during the month of June, as we announced this at the end of June, beginning of July. So what started as just a conversation and banter turned into something substantive between the two companies, NBC and Fox, and happened fast and furious as it relates to the USGA over the last couple of weeks of June.
And I could add a little to that, actually. About a month before Navin found out is when I initially heard about it, where our folks came to me and said, hey, can you put together budgets for the U.S. Open, the Women's Open, and the two amateurs? Because it's possible, that something might happen, but quite unlikely. We'll see. So I did that with our budget folks. And back when we used to have the U.S. Open, we had for 20 years, and our very final event was the U.S. Amateur in Atlanta. And there was a really nice dinner that the USGA threw for us, for the NBC folks. And at that dinner, they gave me the gold medal that the U.S. Open winner gets. And it's really cool. Mike Davis gave it to me. And he said, in fact, I took it and put it on my shelf. This is what it looks like. So all those years had been sitting on my shelf, and apparently this is I'm the only one who's not won a U.S. Open to get one of these things. So it's it means a lot to me. And so when I heard that this possibility might be happening, I went and got it off the shelf, put it in my pocket, and started carrying it. And so then about every 4 or 5 days, I'd get a text from one of our executives saying, are you still got that medal in your pocket? Because, it's looking a little better. And then 4 or 5 days later, you still got that medal in your pocket? Because things are really starting to happen here. And 4 or 5 days later, you still got that thing in your pocket, right? Because this is looking real good. And so I put it in there for good luck, and the good luck paid off. So it was a great ending.
Well, as you have mentioned, it did happen pretty quickly, I guess, relatively speaking. But I'm curious, what was really the biggest challenge when it comes to transitioning entire networks for a schedule like this going forward?
You would think with a couple months leading up to a major championship such as the U.S. Open that there would be a lot of logistical challenge. But, as Tommy mentioned, so well-versed in golf production and so well-versed in how to execute a U.S. Open that, in fact, the transition has been pretty seamless, I would say, from an operational perspective. And that's even with the challenge of the coronavirus that we're facing. I would say that our teams have worked together. We had a plan in place in partnership with Fox. We took that plan, leveraged it, and I would say augmented it, optimized it to the best of our ability with respect to how NBC does things. And I think are in really good position. For me, I would say the challenge, and we all know how small the sports industry is and how even smaller the golf industry is just the relationships that you work with people over a number of years. I know Tommy had to go through that when we first transitioned from NBC to Fox. And we've cultivated some really good relationships on the Fox side and have nothing but positive things to say about the experience working with them. And that in itself is a bit challenging. On the flip side, I would say I spent 5 years of my career early on at Golf Channel and have maintained great relationships along the way with folks in Orlando and in Stanford. And that's what makes the transition easy as well. It's not just executing a plan, but it's being able to lean in and leverage your relationships and talk about how we work together collaboratively to make something happen.
Well, Tommy, this is NBC's first Open since 2014, as you already mentioned. How much would you say the golf broadcast landscape has evolved since then? And will your experience, with previous U.S. Opens inform and perhaps influence how you're going to attack this one at Wingfoot?
Yeah, definitely. Things have changed some, not that much, and we've been continuing to broadcast PGA Tour events and our other events with the other partners. But I would say some of the technological things like all the tracers, all that has changed, where that's got to be a part of the telecast now. But the fact that we had 20 years of experience and we did the last one that was at Wingfoot in 2006 has been hugely beneficial. And our relationships with all the staff people at the USGA, it's crucial, that we've worked with them and we know what to expect. It's been a blast getting to know Navin and work with him now too. But yeah, it's interesting because of the pandemic. I wasn't able to go up there to participate what we call the survey. That's where we get on site and we figure out how many cameras we need and where they go. But our director, who lives right there, was able to do it. And we basically went off the same plan that we had from 2006 because it was very successful, where all the cameras go. And so we've duplicated that fairly closely, adding in extra things like all the tracers. But it should be terrific.
Well, Navin, we know that the USGA is going to bring fans to Wingfoot virtually this year with an assist, of course, from Cisco. So how exactly is that going to work? It sounds very interesting.
Well, last year, in the first major year of our partnership, we were able to really leverage the Wi-Fi technology and the backbone capabilities of Cisco to really power the course and power a golf event, taking 18 unique stadiums and bring it all together in a seamless way, unlike ever has been done before. And the terabytes of data that we passed through was tremendous. Now I think about this year and being able to leverage Cisco Webex to power Fanboard and bring live streaming video of fans onto the first tee and give fans a unique virtual viewing experience. And that's it's to commend Cisco in terms of leveraging the WebEx technology in partnership with the Wi-Fi technology that we're not only using to bring fans on site and bring that to life, but also just leverage the amount of data and scoring data that we pass through everywhere on the golf course. And we're really excited about being able to connect fans in that unique way, given that they can't be on site this year.
Well, Tommy, just kind of going off of what Navin said, obviously fans are getting used now to watching events without seeing other fans on the golf course, but we haven't yet seen a U.S. Open played under these circumstances. So how does that change your approach to the broadcast?
Yeah, it definitely changes things. When we do really big time golf events, I prefer to have our announcers lay out more often, where they set up a shot, but then lay out. And, that accentuates the drama when you have the murmur of a crowd. It just makes a shot that much more dramatic. And so without fans, it's going to be a better play to have our announcers actually talk wall to wall. And we did that over the course of the U.S. Amateur, and then did it the last couple of weeks at the playoffs. And it still gets your juices going, and we'll continue to do that. Other interesting things is when a big putt is made or an incredible shot is made. I do several replays and we pump the crowd, because that's part of it. Because the nature of golf. Most golf shots are executed and you get the polite applause, but when you get a crowd roar, that's gold. Well, we don't have that now. So I'm finding myself when a great shot is made or a big putt is holed, and I start doing these replays, I actually add some music in, which I never would have done before, dramatic music to help fill that void that you're missing from the crowd. This would have been a layup if it wasn't for the COVID, quite honestly. But because of NBC's safety protocols and the USGA's, but in particular NBC. So, for example, in my control room, we would normally have 10 people in there. We're now limited to 5. In the tape room, we would have had a dozen people in there. we're limited to 5. In the graphics area, same thing, dozen people in there, we're limited to 5. So that means all those people need to be put in other places. And our pinpoint animation, which works on the route that putt will take on the greens, that's being operated from London. Our wind graphic is being operated from London. A couple of our EBS machines, which is the replay devices, guys are operating from their home. So we're spread out all over. But the good news is we've had a couple weeks to deal with this with our events on the tour the last couple of weeks, and it's running smooth. The biggest issue, and I don't know what the problem is, but I have to wear a mask while I'm on the air. And every 10 minutes, somehow the microphone in my headset ends up down here, and they're going, "We can't hear you." So I put it back up, and I don't know what's causing it from this stupid mask, but that's the biggest problem right now.
The 2020 problems, right? Hashtag 2020.
Yes.
Well, Navin and Tommy, I can't thank you guys enough for your time and for your insight today. We really appreciate it. We're so excited to get this championship going. I want to thank you again, and also all of our viewers for joining us on the road to Wingfoot, powered by Cisco Webex. We'll see you soon.